Hello, I am Scott Roth. I will be the instructor for HI 151, which is American history up to 1877. 1877 being the marking point because that is the end of Reconstruction. So basically, our class will cover the origins of colonial America, etc., and the Republic up through the Civil War and Reconstruction. I wanted to share a few things about the class, a few things that you might use for success, a few tools that I provide, a few of my general thoughts, and some info on content. I start with my background just so you know me, who I am. I have been at Bellevue for about 17 years. I started in administration and I was an adjunct instructor for a long time. For the past 4 or 5 years, I've been a full-time instructor. I earned my Bachelor of Arts from the University of Nebraska at Kearney. I earned a Master of Arts in Leadership from Bellevue, and I earned a Master of Arts in American History from the University of Memphis. My thesis was on Massachusetts Bay Colony from 1630 to 1660. Sounds scintillating, I know. So if you're interested, let me know. I will love to share my thesis with you. All right, so some ideas for keys to success in the class. The first thing I always emphasize is communication. Online classes can be difficult, they can be challenging as far as communication. So it is very important that you take advantage of a few things. First and foremost, email. Make sure you check your Bellevue email. If you have it forwarded to a private account, that's great. You just need to read it because that is the default email for Blackboard. And so when I send an email to a student individually or a group of students or the entire class, I need you to read it because it will contain important information. A second place where you can find important information is in the announcements. When you log into the class, that's the first page you see. Now, I will talk about, I provide video lectures to the class. Those are in announcements. I'll talk about that in a minute. But announcements will also contain important information, time-sensitive information. A third thing, please make sure to read my feedback and apply my ideas. I try to provide a lot of feedback in Blackboard. This is so you know, first of all, what I'm looking for in the class. But second of all, it's often to get you to think about other, just in general, things that will be helpful for this assignment or for others. So my goal is to help you with this class and learn American history, but also to help you with kind of methodology for other classes, or at least to help with some of these details. So please make sure to read my feedback. Again, I try to provide a lot, and it is for your assistance. I'm quite specific. I will also ask questions on the discussion board. Please feel free to answer these. Sometimes these are to help students kind of clarify their position. Maybe it's kind of a vague statement and I want to know exactly what he or she is trying to say. Sometimes it's just to get you to think in a different way. Sometimes it's a way for you to expand upon the answer. Maybe I really liked your answer, and so I want to hear more on stuff that might be related. So please, again, make sure to communicate. And that's two ways, right? Anytime you have a question or an issue, please email me. I usually get back to you the same day. Sometimes it takes a day, but I will get back to you, and please keep me in the loop. The second thing, participation on the discussion board. Of course, each week there will be a minimum of 3 replies required, substantive replies. The more replies you provide, the better for you and for me and for the class, because I think that students learn a lot from each other. You might have an insight or a point of view that another student may have never thought of. And when you share that, that may illuminate some things for that student. So you have the text, you have my video lectures, you have some of the other tools, but you help each other learn as well. Proper source material. I think I've gained a reputation on this. I am a little bit difficult on that. No, I'm not difficult, but I want you to use good sources. We're at the level college now, and you need to reflect that in the sources you use. So you can't use encyclopedias, history.com, Wikipedia, biography.com. These are all good websites. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. They're fun. Oftentimes you go there for information, little bits of facts here and there, but they're not proper source material at this level. You want to use good analysis. Scholarly books and articles written by historians, generally. Historians use different methods. They have different goals than other professions. That is why I always emphasize this. In the course documents, one of the tools I provide is a folder entitled Writing Assistance. I'll get more to that later, but in that there is a document that details what is a scholarly source. Additionally, you need to cite appropriately. Now, Many students are not familiar with proper citation up front. Trust me, I'm not going to hold you to the fire on that, but you do want to make sure you give proper credit to your source. This avoids plagiarism. More importantly, again, it gives proper credit to the person who studied this for decades or maybe his or her whole life. So we follow the APA formatting. The best way to kind of get an idea of that is the Purdue OWL website. If you just do a Google search for Purdue OWL, it will show up. This will help you with not only how to cite, but when to cite. What all things do you cite? For example, you always cite quotations. You always cite statistics, things like that. And if you do use a quotation, make sure you use quotation marks so that it offsets it from the rest of the text. I know that may sound goofy, but it is a necessity. Critical thinking. Engage these topics and sources critically. Take a deeper look at things. Make sure that you find the argument credible, legitimate, right? Trust but verify, if you will. Even historians make mistakes. But seriously, the key to history, it's not about what happened. We know what happened in the past, right? It's how do we look at the past? How do we make sense of the past? How do we understand the past? So it goes beyond just the facts, again, and this is why good sources are important to help us understand. Part of that is context, the C word, as I call it. This is what, if you study history, this is what history is about. The foundation of history is context. What is going on at the time? What is the zeitgeist? Right? People did things much differently in the 1840s than they do in 2024. It's a different world, right? And it's impossible to hold people in the past accountable to our standards, right? We know things can be wrong, but we also need to recognize it was a different time. Beyond that, too, seek to understand not just what. Again, the facts are not really in dispute. Understand the why. Seek to understand why. And I would say this in every one of your classes. Basic facts, etc., are obviously important. They're the foundation of the study. But you want to seek a deeper understanding. And often that begins with understanding why. A final bit on this, follow instructions, read instructions. I know that this sounds somewhat juvenile, but every term I see students who do not follow instructions and it ends up hurting them. So please make sure to read instructions. If you have any questions, contact me. I will help. I know some of the stuff that we do. For example, the final paper is an annotated bibliography. Not every student has done that, so I provide a few tools for that. But again, please reach out if you have any questions. Now, getting to that, the tools that I provide you, additionally, sorry, diet do break. In the course documents folder, I have a folder entitled Writing Assistance, and this provides a few documents for you to use this term. One is called Tips for Good Writing, which is kind of a general rubric for writing. And again, that will help you with every class, not just history. There is a document, again, what is a scholarly source? This tells you this is the type of source material that is ideal. Please make sure to follow that. There is also a document titled How to Write an Annotated Bibliography and then a sample annotated bibliography. Again, this is for you to use when we get to that time in the term. That is the final project due in week 12. And it sounds a little bit more challenging than it actually is. But again, look over that sample annotated bibliography so you have an idea for formatting, first and foremost. The other tool that I provide, again, in each weekly announcement up until week 10, through week 10, I should say, you will find at least one video lecture that covers one of the topics for that week. This gets more into the details, whereas the textbook will provide a general overview. My video lectures get into it a little bit thicker. For example, in week 7, I have a video lecture on the anti-slavery movement or the abolitionist movement. This goes into quite a bit of detail about the movement, whereas in the textbook, you get a few pages, you get some generalities, but you don't get the specifics. All right, now the content of this class, again, it's America up to 1877, the end of Reconstruction, the traditional dividing line. You'll see this is kind of standard in most schools. When they have American history, it's up to 1877 and then after 1877. Our topics this term will thus reflect this time period and the New World and the United States exclusively. Paper topics, for example, must be topics about America within this time frame. You may find the French Revolution exciting. Absolutely. It changed the world. It's not proper for this class. The revolutions of 1848, again, made a huge mark on the world. That's Europe. That's not the United States. Again, Napoleon, the unification of Germany. Even some students will try to go outside the chronological parameters. So maybe you find the New Deal exciting or progressivism as something interesting you'd like to learn more about. Write about those in HI 152. This is HI 151. So your paper topics will be American history up until 1877. That does include if you would like to write about Native American tribes, that kind of thing. All right, so that is it. I look forward to the term. This will be a great class. It is up to you, and it is up to me, though. Please look through the syllabus. Please look at the assignments that are coming up. And if you have any questions, please contact me. All right, let's get started with the term.